Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. Today we are going to make last minute gift tags for our holiday presents. And some of the supplies that we will need, I have some pre-cut watercolor gift tags. You can make your own. A lot of times they have the little stamp thing that will take out a piece of paper just like this. You can do a big 8.5 by 11 sheet, 10 by 14 sheet, make a whole page and just cut them to the size. But I happen to have these pre-cut tags that I bought last year, basically on a clearance sale. So I thought, why not use them? And I will let you know which ones they are. I think they're Heidi Swapp is the brand. And I'll put them in the descriptions for you. But we're also going to need our compass, a ruler of some sort. This just so happens to be the one I have. Of course, I love all the sparkle and action detail of the glitter. So I have here my silver jelly roll, and I have a gold Signo Uniball. For our brushes, we are going to use a size 10 for our bigger washes and poinsettia gift tag. And then a 3 or 2, 1, something for the details, writing out the joy, doing the veins and the poinsettia. And then also our teeny tiny one, our 2/10 brush. This one's going to be for our snowflake, and then maybe some dots or whatever other kind of details that we want to add to them. I'm going to start with this big one because we are going to make a wash on it, and so I want to make sure I have plenty of time for it to dry. And we're using 3 primary colors today. So we're only using Thalo Blue by Grumbacher. Cadmium Red Light by Grumbacher. And Cadmium Yellow by Winsor. And then also for the darker detail for the poinsettia, I have this little bit of Perylene Maroon that we're going to use. So you can deepen up a red with some blue if you want, with some neutral tint. Even a little black would be fine, or just use a higher concentrate of the red that you're using. All that will be fine, so you'll see. So I'm not gonna wet this card first because it's not a very sturdy watercolor paper. So I'm gonna try and keep it as dry as possible. And I want just a real light wash just for the background. So I'm just gonna be real nonchalant about it, dip in a little bit in the water, and just kind of move it back and forth, and just create a beautiful background for our Santa and the reindeer. And so it's just to kind of provide a little bit of contrast and to give me something as a background for my sparkle really. So you can do this as much or as little as you want. It's kind of hard to know where to stop, so I think I'm just going to do the whole thing and see how it dries like this. But really just trying to use the slightest amount of water. I only dipped my brush in the paint one time. Okay, and I think that looks pretty good. I like it kind of streaky, and where it's darker in some places than the other, just helps to create a lot of interest for it. So we're going to set this one aside, let it dry. So our next card that requires a little bit of drying time as well is the poinsettia card, because we are layering. So we're going to do a really light wash of the under petals and then come over more petals with a darker red. So I'm just wetting this red and just letting my brush very carefully go to the edge of that paint, bring some back for myself. And if you are worried, you can always even move it to another well like I did here, add a little bit more water, and just kind of work from there. I like it. I think it's really pretty when it's light. So poinsettias are typically-ish, you know, illustrated. They're 5 petal flowers that just kind of overlap and go on each other. But if you look at a real poinsettia, a picture of a poinsettia, they're so crazy. It's not very exact. So I'm just going to make 5 dots, and 5 is so hard for me. See, like I've already messed it up. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we made it work. And then what I'm going to do is with these 5 dots, I'm just going to bring out with the belly of my brush that color and make it, you know, pretty large. Move it around however you see fit. And I'm just going to keep bringing that dot from that color out. And I am going to make these kind of a pointed poinsettia. So if it happens that yours stays on the page like this one, then just bring it to a point. But these aren't all going to do that. And sometimes you have to come back in for some more color, which is fine. All right, that looks really pretty. I'm liking that. And it's a little cattywampus over here, but we're going to layer a darker petal here so you won't notice. We're just interested in making these pretty and doing it quickly. So we're not going to get bogged down with those details. So I have one poinsettia here. I think I'll do this one kind of in the middle and try and do my same 5 dots like that. And just bring it out. And I'm moving pretty quickly because I want to show y'all how quick and easy it is to do these. And these also could be turned into cards. You could do the same exact painting for a card, or you could do them all on a big sheet of paper, cut them out as your card. So this one we are going to let dry as well, and then we'll come back and put some darker color over that one and some leaves. Okay, and so this one we are going to do Joy. And what I did with this was I have my compass basically on the lowest, the smallest it'll go. And so I just picked the middle because we have 3 letters, so O is going to be in the middle. And just tried to make my circle as much in the middle as possible. And then I kind of map out with my HB pencil the letters. And in this one I did a cursive one, but I think I'm going to try and do sort of like a block. Oh, that's so cute. I love how that turned out. So this tells me that I feel like my circle is a little small. I think I'm going to lighten this a little bit. And I can see where I had the center of my compass, so I can just do that again. Okay, I'm gonna lighten my wreath just a tad. Actually, I think I'm gonna lighten it all because I'm gonna go over it with paint, so. Okay. And so I'm going to do this with my size 3. And I've created a green here that is a mixture of all of my primary colors. A little bit of orange, which I made with the red and the yellow, and then the blue. So it's kind of like a brown, olivey green. And I'm just going to go around and do leaves. I'm just going to do them, you know, some on the circle, some off of the circle. But just kind of making like a laurel wreath. And the leaf shapes are, you just bring down the whole belly of your brush and slowly draw it back up. And so it's interesting because you wouldn't think a size 3 brush would make such a large leaf, but it does. And then here in between them, I'm just going to kind of put some leaves. You can even go in a little bit. Be very pretty. This is a big circle, so we can definitely do that. And then we're going to use our gel pen. You could use paint and put some berries and maybe even outline some of the leaves. So, oh, I think that is perfect just the way it is. So I'm going to move on to my letters. And the beauty of this one is going to be that it's not even, that your letters are thicker and thinner in some spots, and you just keep playing until you're happy with it. It's kind of a relaxing exercise, and we're just having fun, enjoying the time that we're getting to paint and make colors. You know, using 3 colors is a great way to just kind of focus on your color theory, focus on making sure that you know the flow of your paint with your brushes. That is gorgeous. I love it. So now we're gonna have to let this one dry. This snowflake is so easy and so beautiful. It looks to me like a real snowflake, what you would see under a microscope. It looks like crystals. It's just beautiful, and it's so easy. So this blue is Thalo blue. You can use any color blue that you want, and this is where we're going to use our 2/10 brush. But before we begin, we are going to help ourselves out and draw some circles. Okay, so I start with the biggest one, and I'm gonna make my snowflake kind of a little further up so I have some room on the front to either write a greeting or write our to and from. So I'm gonna kind of shift it a little bit more to the top. Okay, I think I need to come over a bit. Oop, too much. Okay, looks good. And snowflakes are 6-pronged flakes. Guess that's what makes them a snowflake, kind of like a 4-leaf clover. So I will show you how we're going to evenly distribute our 6 points. But before, in case I need it, I'm going to make a smaller circle in the middle just to kind of give me a guide. I don't think I'll need it, but I'm going to make it just in case. And so what we do is we take what we would think is the top. Oh, actually, I think I have to do it for this circle. Okay. You take what would be the top and you go to the left or the right, you make a little mark, and then you take the point on that and make another little mark. Point on that. And you just go around until you've gotten back to the top. Okay. Now we're going to take our ruler. We're going to line these points up. And it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be a lot better than if I were to just eyeball it, especially these cross sections. One, two, three, four, five, six. And we know it pretty much kind of makes it there in the middle. It's not exactly, I think I'm off here because I didn't listen to this. I didn't think that was right, but I probably should have, and it would have been straight. But that's okay. It's going to look great. No one's going to even notice any of that stuff. So now I'm going to take my eraser and just kind of lighten some of those pencil marks. So what we're going to want to do is start with our blue. Okay, we're going to make our line from the center, and we're going to make like 2 lines that are pretty close together. So we're going to take it out and we're going to use our darkest amount of blue. Just 2 parallel lines. We're not going to meet it in the middle. We're going to give our brush a little bit of water, and then we're going to draw these kind of slanted rectangular, I don't know, branches of the snowflake. And we're going to use the paint that we just put on to make these little arms. And you want to vary them, let's see here, in size. So you want some to be longer. They can be touching or not. It's up to you. I kind of like them when they're a little bit connected together. It just kind of, I like it when one side is thicker than the other, so that kind of helps that. Okay. And it's not perfect. And then when we get to the top, we're going to just kind of draw some of it out, the paint, and we're going to make it's kind of like a pointed edge at the top. And then we're going to come in here and do a few more little rectangles. Until we move on to the next one. Right, so now we're going to move on to the next. And as we start to get down a little bit, we're going to start running into each other. So we're just going to stop for a minute and just wait till we get them all in, and then we'll be able to finish it up once we do that. And then as we get in here into the closer parts, we're just going to make little squares, rectangles to just fill them in. And then if you want to just kind of blur these lines a little bit more, just put a little bit of water and just kind of draw that center out, whiten it a little bit less. That. Gorgeous. So we've got all our tips on. We look good in the middle. That looks great. So we'll let that one off to dry. And let's move to our poinsettia. So back to our size 10. We're going to take a more concentrated red, and this you can go as bold as you want. It's really up to you. I'm gonna do a pretty bold red. A lot of water just to kind of make it flow, but red is so saturated by itself that it doesn't matter. So I think what I'm gonna do here is just do the leaves. I'm not going to do the little dots like we did before, and I'm just going to kind of move around just in between all of these lighter leaves. So that's really my guide, are the leaves, the first layer of leaves that we put down. And that's what's indicating to me where I'm going to lay these leaves down, which is freeing. I like that. And so they're going to wind up being, a little bit out of sorts, but that's like what a real poinsettia looks like anyway. And no one's going to notice. All right. Oh, that's gorgeous. So I'm going to move to this one real quick. And I'm trying to move quickly because I still want to place that dark color in the center at the tip, the center and the tips of this darker red, but this is too wet. So if I were to put the Perylene maroon down, I don't think the statement would be there. So I'm going to let it dry just a tad before I do. And so here, look, we have two separate, this one I kind of left a little bit of a center, and this one I didn't, which I like. I like that they're different. So I think I'm going to go with my size 3 and for the detail of the red. Still think it's a little wet. I think it's going to get lost a little. I think we're going to let this dry a bit and then we'll come back. Just a minute though. And so we'll move on to our joy. I'm going to try and get rid of some of this pencil a little bit more, best I can. I'm going to use my gold. This is the Uniball Signo gold. And I'm going to create some berries, first of all, a few little clusters here and there. And one thing about placement is that it's always better to have odd numbers than even. So we have 3 berries here, and I'm going to try and find a place for 3 sets of berries. That looks great. And then what we can do if we want, we can outline some of these leaves. You can even put a little vein in the middle if you want. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It can kind of go inside, can kind of go outside. It's just to add basically the beautiful gold. It's our excuse. Okay, so this one is finished. Wasn't that easy? This is one of my favorite holiday cards to make. I make this one on like a 4x6 as well, and you can even get a little more detailed with the wreath, but I love it. Okay, so now while these petals are still relatively wet, we are going to lay in our Perylene maroon. I'm going to take my size 3, and with a pretty concentrated version of the Perylene, so not much water, but we want it to flow, so we want some water. We're just going to tap the interior corner. See, that one's already dried, but that's fine. And then also wherever there is one of these corners as well, we're going to tap that. And if it's already dry, it's okay. You can just kind of, make it look esque. And this one doesn't really have many, so I'm going to give it a little one there, maybe a little bit there, just to kind of give a little bit of color. And I love in these how you can see that underneath color. You can see the petals underneath that, and I just love that. So pretty. So we're going to let this dry a little bit more, and then we're going to come in and add our veins to our lighter petals and the darker petals, and then also we're going to add some green foliage around just to kind of tie it all in. All right, so here we have our largest one, and because our paper is not the highest quality, not 100% cotton for sure, it's bent a little bit, but I have a flower press that I put these in just to kind of lay them down, and it works great. If you don't have that, you can use stacks and stacks of books. I haven't had as much success with that, but you can definitely try it, and it does help a little bit. And especially if this wasn't a gift tag, it was a card and you were using tape, then it does help a lot with that. So for our Santa reindeer scene, we're going to kind of create it, on an arch. So Santa and the reindeer are going to kind of be taking off. We're just going to make a line that's just going to give us a general direction for where to place our reindeer. It's going to give us, an alignment for us to be able to make everything in line. I'm going to start more over here because I want to leave this space free to be able to write to and from, or a holiday greeting if I want. So I'm going to kind of shift it more to this, like what I did with the snowflake. So for the reindeer, it's really easy, and I'm going to move fast through this because I want you guys to see how quick and easy it can be. So we're going to start with a larger rear circle. So this is going to be the rear, and then a little ways up a smaller circle, and this is going to kind of be the chest. And then you want to connect them with kind of an S curve, and then here the S curve is going to go kind of back, so it's going to be thicker. You know, the chest is smaller than the rear. And then we want to come up with our head. I might have made this one a little too close to the edge. And the head is just kind of like a triangle shape. You can give it a little bit of, you know, interest here with like an ear. And then we're going to come with our antlers. And then our front hooves. And then our front legs, and then our rear legs. Like that. And then we'll add a tail and an ear when we paint it in. So our next one, we're going to do exactly the same way. We're going to do a larger rump end, a smaller chest, connect them with this S curve, make the head, and some arms, some front legs, rear legs, antlers, that looks great. And then for Santa's sleigh, we are going to kind of have this line be in the middle of the sleigh, and it's going to be like a bathtub type shape. That. And then we're going to kind of give a little bit of a tail, make our presents, sack of presents with a little inverted triangle with some ties. And then on this one, we're going to kind of swoop down and come up. And then Santa's going to be in here. And going to have his hat and his head and his arms. Very cute. And then for this bottom part, I like to make it a little bigger, but I can do that in my paint. And then we will do all of the leads and everything like that when we get our paint in. I'm going to use my 2/10 brush, and I'm going to use some Payne's gray for this. You could use a concentrated version of the Thalo blue, but my Payne's gray has a little bit of blue, and so I just really like the pop of the dark to the light, so I'm going to do that. So we've created a lot of lines within here, but what we're going to do is just stick to the outline. We're just going to stick to the outline. And just kind of shape it up as we see fit. I'm going to make a little thicker bit at the end of the front legs. And then in the rear legs, I like to do the same just for the hooves. I'm going to create a little tail and a little ear. And then I'm going to make my antlers. And they can kind of overlap because they would. Okay. I mean, does that look amazing or what? So impressive. And again, the same with the sleigh. We've made a lot of marks, but we are just going to stick with the outline. And then for our arms, once we get to the end, we're going to kind of do a little thumb and a mitten. So just a little something like that. And now we are going to, I didn't draw my little lead, but oh, let me give a little, it's kind of a little swirly detail here at the front. Cute. And so I think I'm just going to kind of do something like that, like that. This is my tail. And then kind of like that. Perfect. Looks so good. And we're going to let this dry. You could move on to the background and stuff, but I think our poinsettia is ready, so we'll set this one aside to let it dry. So we're still a little bit wet here in the middle, but I think we can avoid that. I think we'll be fine. So I'm going to take a little more of this diluted cadmium red, which is what we used for the lighter leaves, and make some veins. So I'm just going to kind of come in the middle and do a center line, and then a few lines out from the side. And just real faint, because these leaves are very light. So we just kind of want to give a little more detail to these, but we don't really need them to stand out that much. But we do want them to kind of meet the rest of the, meet the level of the rest of the petals. Here we go. It's beautiful already. I just think that adds so much. Okay, so now we're going to do our darker red, which is just the same red, just with less water. And we're going to, again, make our veins. Gorgeous. I love that. Okay, so I have a little bit of green mixed up. One that it's all these colors. I think it's a little bit of red to make it kind of a brown olive green with the blue and the yellow. So you just play around with whatever shade you want. If you want it to be that real vibrant Christmas green, then do it, you know. This one was just happened to be kind of a more muted olive tone. And I'm just creating leaves. I mean, they don't really have much to do. They're just filler. So I'm just creating them here on the side. Just to draw the kind of closure of the red and the green, you know, which work really well together. You can even get in there if you want. I'm going to kind of stay on the periphery, and that to me looks so pretty. I love, love, love that. I'm going to do a little bit, add some more right here. All right. And this one also, we're going to do some gold in the middle just to make it pop with our Signo Uniball. And this you can just kind of leave them separate, cluster them together. I think they look really pretty with the dark against the dark red. I think I got some paint in there, so it's not wanting to come out. Do a little bit over here just to tie it in. Oh, gorgeous. I love that. This one is finished. Look at that. It's so beautiful. Okay, so now our Santa is still a little wet, but I see a few spots that I missed where my blue is peeking through. So I'm just going to kind of go through and fill it in while that continues to dry. I'm going to take again my 2/10 brush, and I'm going to dip into this phthalo blue, and I'm going to keep it pretty concentrated. I'm going to make some kind of detail in the sky, some big dots, some little dots, just not really haphazardly, you know. I'm kind of being particular about where I put them, but I'm not necessarily counting them, because I'm going to add a lighter version of this blue as well as some silver. And so I just kind of want to lay this down. All right, so here we have a lighter version. Just going to bring it in. It's so interesting to me, this blue, because this lighter version looks totally different. Looks like a different blue altogether. It's beautiful. And I love that. That's what I love about color theory, is that, you know, this, you could do all of this in one color. And so it's so fun to experiment and play with that. All right, so now I'm going to move to my jelly roll, my silver. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do some large silver dots, some small silver dots, some 5-point stars that I'm just filling in. You can even do some dots within the dots, some silver on the dots if you want. Oh, that's so pretty. I just love that. Okay, we're going to let that dry a little bit and rub out our pencil. All right, everyone, so you can see just how easy it is to make these beautiful holiday gift tags. And we did it using 5 colors, you know, really 3, because I'm fancy. I had to add a couple extra, but you really could do this with 3 colors. And it's just so fun to just sit down and do it, you know. And you can make these cards as well. Great ideas for cards. So get out there, paint, enjoy the holidays, and thank you so much for spending your time with me. See you next time. Bye.